Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Hartophilus.
Sahil, man, what's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Doing great. I just finished a great day of basketball on mine. I know you've been very busy, hard at work with Windy City yourself, doing all your cool things. I mean, I lost my voice from all the screaming and yelling today, but we're still going to have a great time going back and forth about all the cool stuff you're doing. Now, I don't want to give too much away because you're going to talk about it right now, but what people might not realize while listening to this show is that you're about to be a junior in high school and you're working in basketball, right? You're with the Windy City Bulls. You're doing some really cool things. I can't wait to jump into all this. I mean, just start, right? You're already super young, so I'm not going too far back by asking you this question. But where did this all start for you with basketball? Where did this passion kind of start off and you maybe realized that this is something you wanted to be a part of?
Yeah, so I started playing basketball probably when I was about like 4 or 5 years old, right? So I was just playing in rec leagues with my friends. A lot of my friends and I, we played in like a rec league, I think in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And through that, a couple of my friends collected basketball cards. So I started getting into basketball cards as well as I continued playing. And over time, I just kept playing, but then I also started to transition into the collecting side. So I'd collect autographs, different memorabilia, and that's just kind of how I got into basketball in general.
It's fun, right? I mean, that's kind of thinking about just right. Everyone can listen to the show can relate to that in terms of being a kid, right? Jerseys, memorabilia. I could tell, right? You seem right. You definitely have a lot of those things. I mean, what are some of the ones that maybe your favorite or ones that you still remember what it felt like as a kid to get those today?
In terms of like people I've met that I've gotten autographs from and stuff, I think the one that probably stands out that I got in person was Jimmy Butler. Actually, it's got to be back when I was in like third grade, so 7 years ago, probably when he wasn't like at an all-star level or anything. He was still with the Bulls. I did a camp through the Bulls Sox Academy, and they had player visits and got to meet him, took a picture with him, had him sign some stuff for me, which was really cool. And then just in terms of the G League, recently I've been starting to get into like collecting some G League jerseys, especially from the Windy City Bulls. So I'm going to show a couple of them. So this first one is a Will Bynum jersey. So he actually played with Windy City, when they were still in the D League. So yeah, you've got the D League logo. So Will Bynum, and then got like two more that are probably two of my other favorites. I've got a PJ Dozier from this most recent season. It's got the black stripe from, I believe it was David Stern who died. So that was commemorating him. So that's game worn as well. And then probably my other favorite is this Antonio Blakeney game worn G League jersey. And this one's also autographed. And this is from his Rookie of the Year season in the G League, which was 2017-18. So those are probably some of my favorite like jerseys that I've collected. And yeah, I've just met a lot of people. I mean, I've gotten a lot of autographs. Don't know what to do with them anymore. Probably more than I have room to show off.
I mean, you could see, just behind, I run out of wall space, but I was trying to talk about my passion for the game too. And the same thing with you. You almost don't have any place to put all these things, but you're still it's in your nature to keep collecting them because you love it so much, which is why I love it. You're thinking about that so much. But I mean, right, how are you getting in front of these people? I mean, right, you would think, right, there's so much security that you like, right, when you get into the arena, you can't go near the players that, they don't want to talk to you. How do you end up building a relationship with them to where you end up able to get this autograph stuff and actually get to know them?
So originally, like the first basketball game I went to a Bulls game with my dad. We sat up in the 300 level. I couldn't tell who was who because we were so far up. And I just remember I was just sitting there eating popcorn, not really caring about the game. And then over time, as I got a little older, we started going into more 100 level seats because I got more interested in who the players are and stuff. At a Bulls game, I just started getting some autographs one day because we got there early. Oh, there's the players. I just went over there. I think I had them sign like a bobblehead box that they were giving out. And then from there on out, I just started bringing like trading cards and photos of players that didn't have trading cards. And in terms of the G League, we went to 2 games during their inaugural season, the Windy City Bulls inaugural season, and went down to the floor, got there early, waited. Who did I meet at the first game? It was Alec Brown, Jarrell Eddy, one of my most recent interview guests, Farrakhan Hall, actually, and also Will Bynum, who I have the jersey of. And through that, we started just getting season tickets to the Windy City Bulls, and I would just get there early and get autographs from players. You can walk right up to the floor basically. And most of the time they're pretty relaxed. And sometimes some of them will crack jokes with you like, oh, I didn't know I had like trading cards and stuff. I have a funny story. So there was a coach, an assistant coach for the Capital City Go-Go, Avi Story, and he played in the NBA. He kind of had like his little cup of coffee in the NBA. Brought a card of him and he took it from me and was showing it to all the players, and they were all cracking up. And he was like, where'd you get this? Da, 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 da. And yeah, so, I mean, it's just, you make some cool memories and you have some cool experiences when you can go to G League games and kind of get up and close with the players and the coaching staff.
So cool thing about how with the G League, right, you have access to that sort of thing. And right, I mean, that's maybe one of the most underrated things about the G League as a league to watch or follow or go to games to, that people, right, that don't choose to go to them or, kind of ignore the G League are missing out on. And you've been right the beneficiary of that too. I kind of gone to a G League game or two and realized like, wow, like this is so cool. Like the coaches are right there. How awesome is it? Obviously now meeting them all through the show, it's been incredible. But thinking about, right, how you're able to do that going to an actual game, it's so cool. And then, going to the Windy City Bulls in their inaugural season, I mean, that must have been really cool. I mean, have you been going to a lot of games since then? Like, how's that kind of worked out for you and trying to be as close to the team as possible?
Yeah, so the first game we went to, I actually got just really lucky, and they didn't have a ball boy on the home side of the court. So the team president was walking by, saw me getting autographs, and just asked me if I wanted to be a ball boy for that game. So got out there, got my shirt on that he gave me, got the mop, was mopping the floor after the players fell down, throwing them the balls in warmups. And ever since then, we have just been huge fans of the team, and I've just been staying really close with the Windy City Bulls and been to all their as many games as I can get to and buying season tickets and just meeting the players. But yeah, that's really where it all started. That first time where it was just really random. I just got to be a ball boy, and that was just a really cool experience for me.
It's awesome how you're doing that right through middle school, right, going into high school, still doing it. I mean, you said that you ended up staying with the Windy City Bulls to do that for a while after that. Did it evolve? Were you always the ball boy? And how's it kind of maybe evolved to what you're doing now?
Yeah. So that first game was just kind of like a one-time thing, right? So I was just a ball boy for one game. That's kind of how we became fans, because my family got moved courtside. So I was being the ball boy, so they got to move courtside and watch me. And from there on out, yeah, we just season tickets, fans of the team. And this summer I kind of got more interested into, okay, what do I want to do as a potential career, and kind of being more interested into the less of the fan, but more of the, like, how does the team run? What goes into the business of basketball? So reached out and was lucky enough to be able to intern for the Windy City Bulls with some digital media content.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I think about that progression of being a ball boy, getting season tickets, keeping that relationship alive with right, and where that just kind of expands to what you're doing now. I mean, what you're saying in the media side and what you're doing with the Windy City Bulls, like what does that entail? What's your day-to-day look like in that role?
Some days are really similar to each other. Some days are kind of all over the place, but some of the things that I've been doing a lot of the highlight videos on the Windy City Bulls channel. So we've been doing We're Back Wednesdays. So every Wednesday we've been doing like top 5 assists or top 5 blocks, top 5 shots, just kind of show the fans, okay, here's what's been happening our past 5 seasons. We're back. We'll be playing this November. So I've been doing a lot of those highlight videos. On Thursdays, we've been doing like our top player performances from the past 5 years. So I've been doing highlight videos for the players, putting in some requests to the Chicago Bulls graphics team, who helps us a lot. And they've been making some of the graphics, just coming up with different player content, really, to keep the fans engaged and to promote the return of the G League and really Windy City basketball, because the team hasn't played in 20 months. So we're just trying to do a lot of promotion of, hey, we're back, we're here, we're going to be playing this November, come out, see these exciting players. And we're just trying to get everybody like more engaged.
Super important work that you're doing, right? And it's fun, right? Being at the helm of a team that you kind of watch growing up. That's so cool. On top of actually, working with the Windy City Bulls and doing that, you're also doing some pretty cool stuff with NBA G League Tracker, right? And doing all these really cool things, interviewing players, talking to them, like covering what's actually going on that very few people actually do. You don't, very rarely do you see G League, if ever, on ESPN or a news station like that. What's your kind of work been there and building that Instagram account up, and talking about what you love in the G League?
Yeah, so kind of how it all started was back in December of 2019. I just had some free time on my hands, just sitting in the car. And I was like, let me just make like a basketball fan page, just see what happens on Instagram. Let me just try it out. So I made an account, and I think it was just like I don't even remember what fan page it was. It was some basketball fan page. Within a few days, I was like, this isn't going to go super well because not a lot of people are going to look at it. Let me focus on one thing. So I made it. I was like, I want to like talk about the G League and stuff. So what should I call it? And I'm like, oh, we're going to track the G League. We're going to kind of track what's going on, signings, trades, player news. So just that's where NBA G League Tracker came out of. And over time, I just started posting video or different photos, kind of talking about the different players, like, oh, this person signed a 10-day, this person signed a 2-way. It's actually kind of funny. Let me pull something up to show you. Because originally I was just doing this as I wasn't spending any time on it. I was just doing it in the car. Pull up some of my early posts. Because I look back at these posts now and I'm like, what was I doing?
That's what's huge, because that's why it's always just, you always have to just do it. Imagine if you didn't post those things and you kept them bottled up inside and you never post them. You did. You might look at the back of them now and make fun of them, but look where you are now, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that posting, so I was posting stuff like this. So I was just I was just taking a photo, right? And just editing it on like the iPhone Photos app, right? You can just mark up and then throw some text in there. So that's what I was originally doing. Over time, I started to get a few followers, right? And I'm like, okay, I have a little time. Let me start putting a little more effort into it. So then I started making some highlight videos of some players. There's different like IGTVs. And my first big one was a Max Strus highlight video and had like over 1,000 views. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a lot. So then I started to really take it seriously. I made a couple of highlight videos for some players, started to do some more like basic graphics and stuff, right? But just put a little bit more effort into it, make it look a little bit nicer. And then eventually I just started doing some interviews once I gained some more following.
It's so cool thinking about how Reddit could keep on growing. You're like, thank you so much for showing us that, because this is something I definitely want to show. It's funny. I keep on saying my freshman team, but they're about to be, I've been saying this on the show for months now, my freshman team, because the team I had as freshman, when you were a freshman, 2019 to 2020, we didn't have a season last year. So they were still my freshmen, quote unquote. And this next season hasn't started. So I still, they're still my freshmen to me, but they're obviously going to be about to be juniors. They're your age. I keep telling them, right. And they keep on telling me they love the show. They watch the show. And I keep telling them, do your own thing, right? Start something. You're kind of giving, right, this is the answer is always, how do I do it if I'm only 15? How do I do it if I'm only 16? You're living proof of how to do it. And that's why I'm so happy with what you're doing. I'm so proud of what you've done at such a young age, because it's really cool. Thinking about, right, how you just, as simple as going into the Photos app and marking something up. That is like the most, right? That is so simple. And so anyone can do it, but you have to actually do it the way you actually did it and actually posted it. So that's what's right. The initiative to actually do it is what's so impressive. And then obviously building to where you are now. So you mentioned some of the G League conversation. I mean, I'm curious maybe what those interviews have been like for you, and try, right? Obviously, you've I'm sure learned so much from 1 to 2 and so on, right? From going from one to the other. What's that maybe been like for you and getting behind the mic? Maybe sound a little bit better than me right now with my voice, with all the yelling I've been doing. But maybe what's that? How's that look like for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I started out doing those interviews. It was probably June of 2020, because I knew that's where I wanted to go with the interview side, because I have this class at my high school. It's called Studio TV, and we do our weekly episodes. It's called VHS TV after our high school name. And through that program, we get we do a lot of cool stuff. We do professional sports interviews. We've won a lot of like national awards and just a lot of professional equipment, professional environment. So I ended up going to Windy City Bulls Media Day in 2019 through our school's program to interview some of the players. So I interviewed Milton Doyle, PJ Dozier, and Max Strus. 2019 Windy City Bulls Media Day. So that's where I really started getting into the interview side. And that's where I knew I wanted to take NBA G League Tracker eventually. I just didn't have enough. I wanted to wait till I got some followers, and I also needed to get a computer so I could record some Zoom sessions. So then I got my computer in May and started reaching out to players. First person I reached out to was John Octius, played with Windy City Bulls for 3 seasons. And he was really, really great about it. Everything went really smoothly, which was really nice looking back, because if it didn't go smoothly and he was like, no, or just ignoring me, that probably would have discouraged me at the start. Like, what am I doing? Why am I reaching out to these players? They don't want to talk to me, right? But no, he made everything really good. We did like a 13-minute interview, and everything went great. And that's where I started expanding to doing more interviews.
So I really want to key on what you just said and talking about how you're so happy, right, that it went well, because who knows what would have happened if you had a bad experience, 1, 2, 3 times in a row, might have discouraged you a little bit. I'm curious about that, especially with this show, right? Everyone sees the string of episodes now, right, or the scale of which it's grown. At the beginning, I wasn't posting very often, and I was, a little maybe scared of what the show would look like. It didn't really pan out the way I wanted it to. And it was when you, right, all you need is one win. I tell everybody that you need one win, one big guest, one in our case, right, with interviews, one win win in anything to have the confidence to keep going? I mean, you mentioned, you touched on that. What in all this of growth of the show, thinking about maybe some of the times where you maybe had your doubts, how did you maybe overcome some of those and saying, you know what, maybe this post didn't get the views I wanted it to get. Maybe this person didn't receive the show or G League tracker or whatever it might be the way I wanted them to. What were those times where you felt that way, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, so I mean, most of the players reached out to have been really great. I've had a couple ignore me. I'm not going to name any names, but I mean, yeah, I understand it. Like, if you want to ignore me, that's fine. They have no obligation to me, right? So I'm just reaching out for them. I'm asking if they can do something for me. So if they can do it, great. If they can't, it is what it is, and I'll just try and get another guest, right? And that's just having that like kind of persistent mindset, right? You want to keep going at it. You don't want to just let something stop you because somebody said no, right? You want to keep trying, even if it's not with the same person. Just kind of keep trying and pursuing what you want, whether or not somebody else wants to help you out with it. And that's really what I kept doing. And most of my guests have been great. Most of them have been like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get it organized. Few people have ignored me, which is fine. I get it, but just kind of pushing through that and just focusing on the next one, and not worrying too much about what somebody said or what somebody didn't say if they ignore you.
That's key, right? That persistent mindset is key. We've done around 260 episodes, I think, up to this point. I've heard no probably 500 times, and I've gotten no response maybe 15 to 20,000 times. So that's just really how it is in terms of, right? And obviously that's how it is, and it's just the idea of really putting yourself out there, having confidence in what you're doing, because obviously you have to think of it as a two-way street too. You're not just asking for something; you got to provide value in return, and you do that, right? By being right. Number one, you provide value by being you, by being super energetic, super charismatic, having this passion about the G League. That's something people gravitate towards as well. Same kind of thing we do with this show here at Gen Z Hoops. But then also, right, giving someone a platform to talk about themselves, right? You sharing your story. It interests me, and you obviously love telling it, and I'm loving hearing it. So that's why this is right. Some of these things work so well. And I can't wait to maybe see what you do from here in further expanding that. I can't talk about that. And thinking about how much this can grow over the next few months. You should be seeing some pretty good Bulls basketball. I'm not too sure about Windy City in terms of how things are looking now. I definitely want to hear about that. But in terms of Bulls basketball, the free agency this summer has been great. People are looking at the Bulls as someone that can really make noise in the East. As a fan, maybe not trying to be too biased, but as a fan, what have you really taken away from this free agency?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about free agency in a second, but I did want to touch on something you just said a second ago. You talked about kind of like giving some of these guys a platform. So a lot of these G League guys, they don't have as big of a platform, and they may even have a bigger platform than me, right? But just kind of taking interest in what they're doing, like Rodney Pryor, at the end of our interview, he was really great. He talked a lot, gave some great stories. He said that he appreciated like kind of giving guys a voice where they normally don't really have, they're not really going to get interviewed by anybody, right? They're not going to go on any podcasts normally, right? So kind of just being like involved in being gracious to these guys and giving them kind of just like a smooth experience, and just kind of giving them a voice really where otherwise they might not have a voice is just a really great thing, because there's like all the top players will get interviews all the time, right? But you don't always see interviews with the guys who grind behind the scenes and the guys who are putting in so much extra work. I just think it's great that people can see that when they're asked to do interviews and stuff.
Huge. Everyone has a story. That's something I truly believe. And giving someone the platform to share. I mean, everything you just said is spot on in terms of what you should approach that with. And I really appreciate you stopping to mention that, because that's super important. And then thinking about we mentioned about maybe the Bulls free agency, maybe what you're going to see there. Maybe what does that look like for you? With obviously getting to talk to so many players and doing that stuff, to then now see what you're hopeful for and optimistic for in the coming weeks, months, when the season kicks off.
Yeah, I mean, the last few years have been kind of tough as a Bulls fan. Just seeing what they've been doing in the last couple of days is really amazing. So we signed and trade for DeMar DeRozan. We did a sign and trade, I believe, with Lonzo Ball, and we got Vucevic last season. And I think just now seeing that the Bulls are bringing in either fringe stars, or they brought in kind of stars on their last legs, right? Like they brought in D-Wade, they brought in Rajon Rondo, two great names, right? But they were kind of on their last legs. They're kind of more towards the end of their career. But finally seeing that the Bulls are investing money and time to actually bring in some superstar talent in DeMar DeRozan. And even though Lonzo Ball is not a superstar, he really fits what we need, right? He's not just he is a big name, right? But he's not a big name that's like huge, like a Dwayne, right? But he's a big name that fits what we need. And I think that's really going to help us a lot going into next season and hopefully making a deep push in the playoffs.
About with the Windy City Bulls, I mean, I'm sure, right, with the roster turnover, I mean, it's kind of difficult to keep up with it. You do a great job of keeping track of the two-way contracts all over the league and knowing who's where in the G League, which is a very difficult thing to do. Is Windy City returning a lot of guys? Like, how maybe has that looked, or do you think it will look when they kicked off relatively soon?
Yeah, so in terms of the two-way tracker, I know you just mentioned that. I've got to keep that a little more updated on the website because now a lot of players are signing two-way contracts. But what we know for sure is Devin Dotson, in terms of Windy City Bulls, he's on a two-way contract with Chicago Bulls. He will be playing up and down with Chicago and Windy City. And somebody we'll hopefully see with Windy City is Ayo Dosunmu, 38th pick in the draft, with the Bulls kind of having some people at point guard already, like Lonzo. I think they got Javonte Green back I think they extended a qualifying offer to him. Hopefully he'll spend some time down in the G League as well to kind of develop, which I think is important for a lot of players, right? You think they're ready for the NBA, but when they go up there, right, they're missing a lot of shots. They're not performing as too high of a standard that you think they would. So I think spending some time in the G League is going to be good for him. On the Bulls Summer League roster, there's Simi Shitu, who played the 2019-20 season with Windy City, the bubble with Westchester, because Windy City did not go to the bubble. It's possible that if somehow his rights get traded, he could end up back with Windy City, which would be really nice. We might even see him on a two-way deal, possibly, if the Bulls decide to go that route. But yeah, I think there's a lot of promise for Windy City this year, especially through the two-way contracts and possibly through some assignment players coming down.
Really cool thing about all, right, what's come with Chicago basketball, with Chicago Bulls basketball, with Windy City Bulls basketball. Definitely a lot of fun stuff happening there. And you're going to be in the middle of all of it, covering it, right, being in the middle of it with Windy City, watching it, right, everything with the Chicago Bulls. And there's a lot of fun stuff coming up for you. I mean, I'm just curious, what's next? I mean, it's a tough question. I mean, there's so much really going on for you. And there's so much room to grow. I can't wait to be watching it on Instagram, or of course, right, next summer in Vegas, whatever it might be. But what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, it's like 6 o'clock, so dinner. But in terms of what's going on, like realistically in the future, I'm just hoping to continue doing some work with Windy City. Hopefully when the players come back in, we've talked about it a little bit, possibly doing some interviews with them for Windy City social channels, possibly doing some day in the life content, some behind the scenes content on game days, which is going to be really cool once all the players come back in. And in terms of doing like the G League coverage on my end, just for my own personal thing with NBA G League Tracker, just continuing to do some more interviews. I'm going to try and get some bigger guests, hopefully going to get some G League alumni who are in the NBA. I'm going to try and start reaching out to some of them and seeing what I can do with that. But yeah, just kind of continuing with what I've been doing with the Windy City Bulls and on Instagram with the NBA G League Tracker.
I can't wait to watch it all happen for you. I'm really excited for it. And this is I many times I'll tell a guest that this is an episode I'm going to watch over. And I do. I always do. I always watch these episodes over and take notes and apply these to my life. But what I'm excited about this one episode in particular is I'm sending this to all my freshmen. I'm making them watch. I might watch it with them and say, be like Sahil, please. Like, take this passion for basketball, for anything you have in life. Basketball might be for some of the guys, but from whatever it is, take your passion and do something with it. Create content with it. Chase your dreams with it. Right? Starting super young is awesome. You've done it, and I really want to stress that other young people do that as well. So, as the youngest guest on Gen Z Hoops, I really need to thank you coming on the show, sharing what you've done. And hopefully it inspires at least even one person to do the same. Thank you so much, Sahil.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. And hopefully we'll continue to talk in the future and possibly even do some more podcasting, some more interviews. But yeah, we'll keep talking in the future. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.